Mount Everest, Sagarmatha, Chomolungma, the mother goddess, has long been the ultimate test of human spirit, but its beauty hides a legacy of danger, tragedy, and unforgettable stories from the roof of the world. 1996, a year that would become infamous in the annals of mountaineering history. Everest slopes were crowded with commercial expeditions, as more climbers than ever before gathered at base camp, each hoping to reach the top of the world. On May 10th, multiple teams pushed for the summit, their ambitions fueled by months of preparation and anticipation. The weather seemed stable, with clear skies and a sense of optimism in the thin air. But Everest is unpredictable, and its moods can shift in an instant. By afternoon, a sudden, violent storm struck without warning, catching climbers high on the mountain off guard. Whiteout conditions, hurricane-force winds, and plunging temperatures turned the descent into chaos. Visibility dropped to almost nothing, and the howling wind drowned out desperate shouts for help. Climbers, already exhausted and dangerously low on oxygen, became disoriented and separated from their teams. Some wandered blindly, while others huddled together, hoping for rescue. The death zone's thin air and the storm's fury claimed even the most experienced guides. Survival became a matter of luck as much as skill. Rob Hall, stranded high on the south summit, made his final radio calls to his pregnant wife. Heartbreaking words that echoed the tragedy and the human cost of chasing Everest's summit. Scott Fisher, another renowned guide, also perished, despite his legendary strength and experience. Some climbers huddled together, desperately trying to survive the night just meters from safety, their bodies battered by wind and cold, their minds haunted by fear and uncertainty. When the storm finally cleared, the full scale of the disaster became clear. 8 climbers were dead, the deadliest day Everest had seen up to that point. The disaster shocked the world and forced climbers, guides, and the public to confront the risks of commercialization and the limits of human control over nature's extremes. John Krakauer's Into Thin Air brought the story to millions, sparking debate about ethics, safety, and the true cost of adventure on the world's highest peak. The 1996 tragedy became a turning point, a brutal reminder that Everest's power is absolute, and that the mountain demands respect from all who dare to climb it. No amount of preparation, experience, or technology can guarantee survival in such a place where the margin for error is razor thin. The mountain always has the final say, indifferent to human ambition or suffering. Its lessons are written in ice and loss, etched into the very landscape by those who came before. And they are never forgotten, living on in the memories of survivors, the stories told, and the silent stones that mark the mountain's unforgiving slopes. In 2006, David Sharp, a British climber, attempted Everest alone with little oxygen. On descent he collapsed in Green Boots' cave, succumbing to hypoxia and cold. Over 40 climbers passed him that day. Some stopped, most moved on, believing he was beyond help, or unable to risk their own lives. The death zone warps judgment, survival becomes personal. Sir Edmund Hillary condemned the indifference, igniting fierce debate. Had ambition eclipsed humanity? Could more have been done, or was rescue impossible at that altitude? Sharp's lonely death became a haunting symbol of Everest's ethical dilemmas. The mountain tests not just bodies, but morals. In the pursuit of dreams, what do we owe each other? Everest offers no easy answers, only hard questions echoing in the thin air. Just below Everest's summit on the northeast ridge, a limestone alcove became infamous for a single, chilling reason: the body of Green Boots. Believed to be Tsewang Paljor, lost in the 1996 storm, his neon boots marked the final, most dangerous stretch. For years, climbers passed his frozen form, a stark reminder of mortality and the razor-thin line between glory and tragedy. Over 200 bodies remain on Everest, left by necessity. Recovery is nearly impossible in the death zone. For families, the mountain becomes a permanent tombstone. In 2014, Green Boots' body vanished, likely moved out of respect. But his story endures, a symbol of Everest's cost. The mountain keeps its dead. Each step past Green Boots was a confrontation with fate. Everest's legacy is written not just in summits, but in those who never came down. The climb is never just about reaching the top. It's about what and who is left behind. In 1979, Hannelore Schmatz became the first woman to die high on Everest after summiting. Her journey was one of courage and determination, pushing the limits of human endurance in the world's most unforgiving environment. Exhausted and battered by the elements, she and Regine made the fateful decision to bivouac just below the south summit, a choice that would prove fatal in the thin, icy air. Jeanette succumbed to the cold overnight. Schmatz collapsed the next morning, her body weakened by dehydration and exposure. Her last words, a desperate plea for water, echoed the agony of those final moments. Her body, left sitting against her pack, eyes open, hair blowing in the relentless Himalayan wind, became a chilling landmark for years. She sat as if resting, but her presence was a stark reminder of Everest's cost. Climbers passed her on the southern route, haunted by the sight, a frozen sentinel, a warning to all who dared to follow. Her story became part of Everest's legend, whispered among those who braved the climb. Attempts to recover her body ended in more tragedy. 2 rescuers fell to their deaths, underscoring the peril that lingers even in acts of compassion. Eventually, the wind swept her remains from view, erasing the physical evidence but not the memory. Her story lingered, a ghostly presence on the mountain. Early expeditions faced the mountain with little support or technology, at the mercy of the elements. They relied on grit, luck, and each other, knowing that Everest offered no guarantees. Schmatz's fate is a somber reminder. Everest's dangers are permanent, and the cost of a dream can be everything. Her story is a tribute to those who risk and sometimes lose everything for a chance at the summit. The mountain claims its own, and sometimes even those who try to help. Every step on Everest is a gamble with fate. Her story is a haunting piece of Everest's history, a chapter written in ice and wind, never to be forgotten. The summit is only half the journey. On Everest, survival is never guaranteed, and every climber who returns is a testament to the mountain's enduring challenge. The Sherpas are Everest's unsung heroes, risking everything to make others' dreams possible. On April 18, 2014, tragedy struck in the Khumbu Icefall, a shifting maze of deadly ice. Early that morning, a massive serac collapsed, unleashing an avalanche that buried 25 Sherpas. 16 lost their lives in seconds, the deadliest day Everest had seen. Rescue efforts were heroic but dangerous, as the icefall threatened further collapse. Grief and anger swept the Sherpa community. In protest of poor compensation and in mourning, Sherpas suspended all expeditions for the season, a powerful, unprecedented stand. The disaster forced the world to confront the risks and inequities Sherpas face. While climbers pay fortunes, Sherpas risk their lives for a fraction. The avalanche was a turning point, demanding respect and justice for Everest's true guardians. The mountain's dangers are not shared equally. The Sherpas' courage and sacrifice must never be forgotten. Everest's legacy belongs to them, too. In 2015, as Everest was still reeling from tragedy, a massive earthquake struck Nepal. The ground shook violently, and a hanging glacier from Pumori unleashed a devastating avalanche onto base camp. The blast flattened tents, hurled people, and turned the camp into chaos. Climbers and doctors scrambled to rescue the wounded amid destruction. Higher up, avalanches trapped climbers at Camp 1 and Camp 2, cut off by a reshaped, impassable Khumbu icefall. At least 22 died at base camp, the deadliest disaster in Everest's history. Across Nepal, nearly 9,000 perished. The climbing season was abandoned for the second year in a row. The earthquake proved that Everest's dangers go beyond weather and altitude. Even at base camp, safety is an illusion. The mountain's reach is absolute. Nature's power is always greater than our plans. Amid Everest's tragedies, some stories defy belief, like Lincoln Hall's. His tale is not just about survival, but about the extraordinary will to live in the face of impossible odds. In 2006, Hall finally reached the summit after years of dreaming and training, but on the way down, he collapsed from cerebral edema, a deadly swelling of the brain that strikes in the death zone, where the air is thin and every breath is a struggle. His Sherpas did everything they could to save him, battling exhaustion and the brutal cold. But as Hall became unresponsive, they were ordered to leave him for dead, a heartbreaking decision forced by the mountain's harsh realities. Hall spent 12 hours alone at 28,000 feet, exposed to the elements, without oxygen or shelter. Temperatures plummeted, and the wind howled relentlessly around him. By all logic, he should have died. No one survives a night like that on Everest. But the next morning, a team led by Dan Mazur stumbled upon Hall. To their astonishment, he was alive, delirious, frostbitten, but somehow conscious, sitting cross-legged on the ridge as if meditating. The team immediately abandoned their own summit attempt to save him, giving him precious oxygen, warm drinks, and calling for help. Their selfless decision would change the course of Hall's life. Against all odds, Hall was rescued and survived. He lost only fingers and a toe to frostbite, a small price, considering he had been left for dead on the world's highest mountain. His family, already told he was dead, were stunned and overjoyed to welcome him home. The reunion was emotional, a moment of pure relief and disbelief. Hall's survival is a testament to human resilience and to the mountaineering code that no summit is worth a life. The bonds between climbers can mean the difference between tragedy and triumph. His rescue stands in stark contrast to the David Sharp tragedy, where a climber was left to die as others passed by. Hall's story reminds us of the power of compassion, even in the most extreme places. Sometimes, the greatest victory on Everest isn't reaching the summit, but saving another life. It's these moments of humanity that echo loudest in the thin air. Everest tests the body, the spirit, and our humanity. It reveals who we are when everything is stripped away. Hall's story is one of hope amid the ice, a reminder that even in the coldest, most desperate moments, life can surprise us. Miracles can happen, even on the world's most unforgiving mountain, and sometimes, the greatest summit is simply coming home. Everest stories are legacies of triumph, loss, and the thin line between. They remind us of nature's power and the courage of those who climb. We honor the fallen, especially the Sherpas, by telling their stories with respect. The true measure of a climb is not just reaching the top, but returning safely, and how we treat each other along the way. What do you think about the ethics of climbing in the death zone? Share your thoughts below. Thank you for joining me on this somber journey.